Well, thank you, Rory, and it's great to be back here with you all this evening. I was here 3 years ago at this very event, and to see so many brave journalists who have left no stone unturned to tell the world the truth. Now, as First Minister of Wales, it's great to be with you. I noticed that Fabian, as Chief Minister of Gibraltar, gets a speech. I get a short message. So I did wonder whether I should just say a few words or just text you all, and then hopefully the message would come through. But look, we are a proudly, famously bilingual country. And it gives me a great thrill to present this particular award this evening, which is the best story on Britain in a foreign language. The Welsh language, the language I grew up with, is the oldest language in Britain, the second oldest language in Europe. It's said, you can hear it every day on the streets of Wales. It's used to educate our children. It can be seen on TV, online, and heard through a brilliant and blossoming Welsh language music scene. It's a very different language from English. Mae'n iaith hollol gwahanol I Saesneg, bach I clywed now, just to make the point that how different it is. But we are used to being a bilingual culture. And that's not true, of course, of everywhere, because there's the story, of course, of two old-school English journalists at an international journalism conference. They were approached there by a foreign correspondent who said, "Parlez-vous français?" The two just stared back. So the correspondent said, "Sprechen Sie Deutsch?" Again, they just stared back, wondering what this person was saying. "Fala português?" No answer at all. So finally, the journalist said, "Parlate italiano." And finally, after getting no response, the foreign journalist walks off in disgust. Then one of the English journalists turned to the other and said, "Do you think maybe we should learn a foreign language?" And the other replies, "What for?" He knew for, and what good did it do him? Now, that said, living in a bilingual country where not everyone has a grasp of Welsh can also present some challenges. All our road signs are bilingual, English and Welsh, but not all sign makers are bilingual. So when Swansea Council needed to urgently translate a road sign into Welsh, they sent the required message in English to the in-house translators, and they got a response back very, very quickly. They were very impressed with this, and the sign went up. A routine matter, you might think. But it just so happened one day that a busy junction needed to be closed off for trucks and lorries, and a bilingual sign went up as quick as a flash. It said in English, "No entry for heavy goods vehicles." It said in Welsh, "Nid yw even y swyddfa ar hyn o bryd, anfonwch unrhyw waith i'w gyfieithu." Great, you might think. Except that the translation says, "I'm not in the office at the moment, send any work to be translated." There were lots of confused Welsh-speaking lorry drivers in Swansea that morning. Look, it's been a great honour for me to be associated with the Foreign Press Association and the award ceremony during my time as First Minister. I have 15 days left in the job, not that I'm counting. But it feels as though each year we have to repeat the same mantra. Never has there been a more dangerous time to be a journalist. Never has there been a time when quality journalism was needed so much. And the examples we've had from the last few months alone give us all pause for thought, don't they? And more reasons to honour the brave men and women who get to the truth in hostile environments. And some of those hostile environments, of course, are much closer to home than we previously thought. Much has been said, of course, and written about the brutal and appalling killing of Jamal Khashoggi, and more should be said about that, not least by the UK government. But the unsuspecting could be forgiven for thinking that this was an isolated case. But we heard earlier on that 65 journalists have been killed this year alone. Over 250 journalists were imprisoned. And then you have the spectacle of the alleged leader of the free world saying, "The media are the enemy of the people." These are dangerous times. And because these are dangerous times, we need your bravery more than ever. And a fundamental part of that, of course, is the reporting of foreign correspondence. Now, I started by giving some examples of things that have been lost in translation, a theme made apt not just by the next category, but also because 2018 is the 15th anniversary of the famous Sofia Coppola film. And whilst the most famous line from that film is the one you don't actually get to hear right at the end, there's a line from the book of the same name, which I believe can serve as a motto for us all here this evening. In her novel, also called Lost in Translation, Nicole Moniz writes, "I don't believe fundamentally in anything but the awakening of spirit, hope, and freedom." And surely that's the ambition of any journalist working abroad, seeking truth, not just for truth's own sakes, but because of what truth does for us as politicians. It keeps us honest. And that's how you create a proper, strong civic society, an awakening of spirit, hope, and above all, freedom. And I know that's what this evening's winners here tonight and all the nominees value above all else. Reporting in a foreign language is such an important part of increasing our understanding of one another in a world that's both shrinking and yet becoming more and more polarized.